little earlier, I caught up with Dr. Annegret Groebel, President of the Council of European Energy Regulators, and Iman Hill, Executive Director of the International Association of Oil and Gas Producers. And I asked Annegret if the energy shortages could put the brakes on the global recovery.
I think it is more of a temporary problem rather than a long-term issue. And therefore, I would also not see a reason why this could hurt or could cut economic growth. I think one of the, if I may add, one of the reasons why we see this price increase is because the economic activity has restarted around the world. In Europe, Europe is a little bit behind, so we feel now more of the crunch in the energy prices. But I think this is a good sign.
Iman, OPEC Plus, of course, that's the oil-producing nations and their friends, including Russia, have said that it'll gradually increase oil production. I'm just wondering, what do you see as the ideal production level?
I think that reliable energy supplies are the backbone of every economy, and the UK and Europe, like any other region in the world, needs to make sure that they diversify their energy supply. The ideal production level is a level whereby we are in balance, in the sense that the right level of investments need to take place such that we don't create a supply-demand gap, which then causes a spike in prices and we get into this downward vicious cycle. So balance is key in terms of the investment levels and keeping the supply-demand picture actually balanced. So I think also shutting down or restricting domestic production, as we've been seeing in many countries around the world, and doing that basically increases dependency on imported supply sources. And this is generally a bad idea.
I agree with the point on diversification. I think that is evident. But I think also the climate neutrality and the targets that the European Commission and the EU as a whole has set out cannot be achieved with fossil fuels not becoming decarbonized. And that is also true for gas, given the methane emissions that we see there, which is the, let's say, counterpart of CO2 emissions from coal. So I think we need to move towards a diversified clean energy mix with a increasing share of renewables.
Annegret, here in the UK, we've seen a number of energy companies that have gone bankrupt. They've gone bankrupt because they're not able to pass on these rising costs of oil and gas to customers. So how do you balance protecting customers with allowing companies, of course, to stay competitive?
We advocate that there are interventions, that there are no interventions in the market in the way that they could distort prices and competition. So that would be our general message here.
What you're saying, though, is for energy providers that are struggling or in serious trouble, government, hands off.
We are of the view that they are at least not intervening by interfering in the market mechanism. Whether they do some sort of out of market, let me call it out of market measures, I think that is up for the government.
What would they be? Sorry, just for the layman, what would out of market measures be, for example?
Well, on the customer side, it would be something like, and that could also partly apply maybe to energy suppliers, questions of or reduction of certain specific energy taxes or levies that they potentially have to face.
Iman, what do you see as the future of sustainable energy, and what is the role of fossil fuels in that picture?
Natural gas is a sustainable bridge to renewables, and that is absolutely, without doubt, a resounding fact. So renewables will be a key enabler for achieving the Paris Agreement goals, and so is natural gas. So what I want to say is, it's not about either or, it's about and. I'd like to talk to you about a couple of technologies if I may, that are absolutely critical to decarbonisation. Coming to carbon capture and storage, this is one of the pillars, the key pillars of decarbonisation, according to the latest Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report. The process for our viewers consists of capturing carbon dioxide produced by large industrial plants such as power plants, refineries, steel mills and cement plants, compressing it for transportation via pipeline or ship, and then injecting it into underground rock formations at carefully selected sites.
Hydrogen, just very briefly if possible, Aman, where does that fit into the picture?
Really, we need to mobilise the widest range of technologies to ensure that energy supply remains secure and affordable. So clean hydrogen offers significant potential to reduce carbon dioxide emissions.
Annegret, the price of natural gas has soared this year, in part because it produces, right, less greenhouse emissions than other fossil fuels. So does this put the whole green transition at risk?
No, I would rather say the opposite. Given that the price of the CO2 emission certificates increases, there is a likelihood that this also then will reverse again the relative price between gas and coal, making coal relatively more expensive, which then will mean that the increase in coal production that we currently see will be reverted as well.
Personally, and also as an association, we don't see anything positive in coal used for producing energy versus gas. I mean,
I didn't say this. Yeah, I agree that is an element that was driven by the switching relative prices. But as I said, there is a mechanism to correct this with the increased CO2 price, and therefore I think it is a temporary movement.
But I think it's good for everyone to understand.
Yeah, sure.
You know, that gas has huge advantages over coal: no sulfur oxides, almost no particulates, which is microscopic particles of solid or liquid matter suspended in the air, much less nitrogen oxides. And this is why we very much support the shift from coal to gas.
Still, we would see that natural gas is maximum a bridging fuel, but not saving the clean energy world, if I may paraphrase.
Well, here's a question for both of you to end on, because a number of unrelated factors have shown just how fragile, right? How fragile the whole global energy supply system really is. So, what lessons can be learned from this period as we move forward into greater reliance on renewable energy, which, of course, as we know, can fluctuate? Iman, you first.
Of course, we must, and we all have a desire and a responsibility to work together towards marching through and accelerating the energy transition. And we all want it. And we in the fossil fuel industry also wanted. The point is that we have to be balanced. If you look in our past, if you look in the past decades, we will see that the energy mix starts to diversify, but it takes decades. It takes a decade or more. So the important thing is the balance.
I think that this shows that indeed we need to move up our efforts to accelerate the energy transition. But I'm probably a bit more positive in the sense that I think that renewable costs have been driven down over the past decade quite a lot, so that they are competitive. And therefore, I would say that of course this doesn't happen overnight, but that we are on track to ensure that renewables take the lead, so to speak.
So on that note, Dr. Annegret Groebel and Iman Hill, how I've appreciated your time. I'm sorry, I wish we had more time, but thanks for joining me. Take care, and we'll check in with you soon.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you.